short video clip, there are three stuffs we are going to be talking about. We are going to be discussing about the layer and the text and the dimension systems in AutoCAD. So I'm going to be teaching you how you can be able to create layers in AutoCAD. But before we continue, we have to understand what it means to add a layer. A layer is just like an overlay of informations in this program, and you use this layer manager box to separate different kinds of information in this program. Okay, if we want to separate diverse kinds of information, that is, we want to separate objects from each other. Okay, that means we have to create layers for this object. We want to define them specifically. So how do you create layer using AutoCAD? To create layer using AutoCAD, what you have to do is to go to the format icon and you click on the layer. So if I select this layer, the layer manager box dialog box will pop up. Now this is the dialog box for our layer. AutoCAD allows you AutoCAD gives you a default layer and it names that default layer layer 0, and that default layer you cannot delete that default layer. It is the layer we've been doing our job, like the jobs we created here. They are all created in the on the default layer. So AutoCAD creates a default layer for you, and AutoCAD allows you to switch off a particular layer, including the default layer, and switch them off and switch them on. If you want to switch off a layer, and that means you want to hide information about that layer, okay, you can switch them on and switch them off. Okay, you can click this point, that is, I want to turn the current layer off. Now the drawing has disappeared because it was drawn on the current layer, that is on the default layer. So we have to switch it on again. So I have to click this point for it to appear back. So AutoCAD also allows you to freeze a particular layer. Freezing a layer is also similar to that of switching them off, but freezing them gives you a better look. And AutoCAD also allows you to lock a layer, and if you lock a particular layer, you cannot make any modification in that layer. You can't do any design or make changes with the informations contained in that layer. And also AutoCAD also helps you to change the color of a particular layer. And for instance, I can decide to change the color of this default layer, and AutoCAD also allows you to change the line type of a particular layer and the line width of this layer. So we are going to be creating layers to separate informations about the job we are doing. So here we can add a new layer to our job. Okay, assuming we want to do a job that comprises of dimension systems, test systems, so I have to create layers to separate this information. So here I click this new layer. Now a new layer will be created and AutoCAD will name it layer 1, but I can rename this layer. So I want to use dimensions. I just press DIM here, and I can change the color of this my dimension system. I can select red and I click OK, and I can decide to change the line type of this my lines for this layer. I can also decide to change the line width. Let us choose okay, it's normal 0.2, and you click OK. So I want to create another layer. I click this point again to create a new layer, and this new layer I want to name it test. I want to name this new layer test because we are going to be adding tests to the little job we've already created. So I name it test, and here I can change the color of this layer. So I want to use this yellow color. I'm just using this for better comprehension, and I can decide to change the line width of this layer, but I'm going to be leaving it the way it is. And then if you want to work on a particular layer, what you need to do is you have to double click on the layer you want to work on, assuming we want to dimension our job and we want the dimension information to be contained in this dimension layer and to be separated from this default layer. What we have to do is to double click on this dimension here to set the layer, so we can now work on this layer. You can see the stuffs here have already changed to the color of our layer, and it has ticked this stuff for us. And as when I want to work on the test layer, I can as well perform the same function by double clicking on this, or I can just click once and I'll click on this set current to make the layer available for usage. So the layer is now ready for us to use, but I want to go back to the default layer and I'll click this to set it as current layer. So let us delete this. Now remember, we've already created this layer, and we can as well create multiple layers, assuming we are producing a simple floor plan that has different kinds of informations like the block, the walls, and the text, the dimensions, and so many informations. We can create layers for these entities to separate these informations and make the work very readable for us to use. So I can start to close this and make a little more explanation to our layer command. Now you can decide to access this layer command through this point, and if I want to do this, that means I have to click on this ellipse. We have the dimension layer, we have the test layer. That means I can switch to the dimension layer by double clicking on this. I can switch to the test layer by double clicking on this, and I can also switch to the default layer by double clicking on this. So we have these three stuffs here. I can decide to hide the default layer like this, and I'll click outside. Okay, that's been hidden. Okay, that means you want to hide the information. Let us switch it back, and I'll click outside. And I can decide to freeze it. I can try to lock it so that you won't make any changes in the layer. That is still applicable to all of them. That is how to add layer in AutoCAD. That is the easiest way to add layer in AutoCAD. And the next stuff we are going to be talking about is the test 2. Okay, it's the test 2. So how do you add test in AutoCAD? So before we add the test, we have to set the test layer as our default, or as the current layer. So I have to click on it and it will be selected. Now the layer now is on the test layer. So to add test in AutoCAD, all you have to do is on the command line you type test on the command line and press enter. Okay, now the first statement there is the software is asking us to specify the starting point of our test. Okay, I want to specify it on the screen, so I want to click this point, just left click at this point, and the next stop there says we should specify the paper height, that is the height of our test. So I want the height of this test to be 10 millimeters because of the size of our drawing is very little. So I press enter. Now the next stuff there says we should specify the rotation angle of our test. So we are going to be using 90, and I'll press enter. If you use 180, it is going to rotate. If you use 270, it's going to rotate, and if you use 0, it is also going to rotate. So we are going to be using 90, and we press enter. Now we can now write our test. So here I want to use basic. I want to write basic shape on my computer keyboard, and when I'm done writing, I can click outside, and you press the escape key to complete task. So you can move the text you've added to your desired position. Okay, move the text you've added to your desired position. That is how to add or to use the text command in AutoCAD. And the next step is how to dimension in AutoCAD. How do you dimension using this program? And before you dimension, you have to ensure that the dimension layer is selected so that the information will be contained in the dimension layer. So I click on the dimension to select the dimension layer, and I made some adjustments to our dimension style. So I had to click on the format icon and I'll select dimension style. On the modify, for the lines, still okay, so I selected for the line width this 0.20, this other one for the extension lines 0.20, and for the symbols and arrows I use the arrow size as 10 because of the size of our drawing is very little, so that means I had to reduce the size of our arrow size. And for the center marks I used line, and the text, remember I gave you a secret that the arrow size should always match with the text height. The arrow size should always match with the text height, so you select this aligned with dimension line. And for the primary units, I had to set the unit format to decimal and the precision to 0, and I click OK, set current and close. Now we can dimension. So we are going to be carrying out some basic dimension systems using the AutoCAD software. So the first one is the linear dimensioning. So how do you carry out linear dimension system in AutoCAD? To perform this function, you have to click the dimension icon on the menu bar and you select linear. So select this point again, and you take the stuff up. Okay, you see we've been able to dimension this. We can still perform this function. Just right click and you click on repeat linear, click this point and select this point and take it to this direction. Okay, you can as well complete for the others. That is for the linear dimension system. And we are also going to be doing the aligned dimension system. The aligned dimension system, you can only use this if you have an aligned line, kind of line, and you want to dimension the line. Okay, that is why I created this. So I have to select the command there, and I'll click this, and I'll click this point, and I'll take. So I've been able to dimension this aligned line pattern in our job. That is how to use the aligned system. So we go back to the dimension icon again, and we also want to perform the radius. Okay, assuming we want to dimension the radius of our circle, so I select the radius and I just click the circle, just left click on it and take it outside and click again and drop. Now the radius of our circle is 33 millimeters, and I still go back to the dimension icon there and you can select diameter. Assuming you want to dimension the circle using the diameter method, you just select the diameter, click the circle you want to dimension and take it outside and you drop. Now the diameter is 67 millimeters, that is double of the radius. Okay, now we can as well perform another dimension style, which is the angular type of dimension style. So I'll click the angular here and I want to dimension this to check this angle here. I click this first line, I click the second line and I take it here. You can adjust and you click and drop. Now this is angle 90 degrees. Now we've been able to showcase the basic dimension systems that are inevitable in AutoCAD. There are some other ones like the ordinate and some others that we will be revealing in more of our classes. So I want to hide this information now. I can come to the manager box here and I'll hide and I'll click outside. Now the stuff has been hidden now. Okay, I've hidden the information. Is it looks as if we did not dimension anything using this program. So if I want to change or to show the stuff I hid, I just click this point again. I'll click outside to show the information. Okay, that is how to manage the layer 2, add text, and dimension in AutoCAD. Okay, with this little exposition, we've been able to cover these 3 stuffs that can be performed in this program. I hope you found this class very interesting.